Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates and some more Star Wars Battlefront 2 details. These details comes from some new finds in the concept art on the website and so on, because there's so much info that came out at the same time. We all missed some small details that I thought was very interesting to bring up. And a big thank you to all of you who sent this in to me on Twitter, on email, and also some of you who spotted these things during my live stream yesterday. But before I go back to the concept art and the websites, I just wanted to quickly talk a little bit about a tweet from Dennis Brenwald, the design director for Star Wars Battlefront 2. Max told him that he really enjoyed the freedom of the star card system in the current Battlefront, and he wondered if the class system will offer the same freedom. And Dennis responded by saying, "It's not the same freedom, but you can definitely customize your trooper class quite drastically to suit your playstyle." And I think this is really good, as I was kind of afraid that they would be going down the line of the original games where you had fixed abilities for each class. Well, obviously they would have some customization, but I'm just glad that if I like to be an assault player or a heavy player, I can actually still tweak my playstyle within that class, so that there isn't just 4 playstyles simply, but you can actually find your little niche of the heavy class or the specialist class, or whichever one you wanna play as. So in my opinion, this is really good news. But now back to the rest of the details. If we start off, we have some stuff on the website that I felt like I haven't really properly covered yet, because this comes from the actual, I guess you could say, press release. If you just go to battlefront2.com, you can't find this info, but you need to click away to news and then to the statement. So the first one is regarding cross-era gameplay. I said yesterday that I wasn't sure if they had officially confirmed it, but it actually says on the website that in certain modes you will be able to pit heroes from the prequel trilogy, original trilogy and new trilogy against one and another in combat. So I guess, yes, it is now confirmed. I'm assuming that this is probably referring to something like heroes versus villains, but it's always good to know for sure. Moving on, we have game modes, which is a little bit vaguely stated here, but basically it says, in planetary engagements you will be transported to some of Star Wars' most iconic battlegrounds: Theed, Takodana, Starkiller Base, Yavin, Mos Eisley, Endor, Hoth and more. You will also cooperate against AI foes in skirmishes that span the cinematic eras and engage enemies in entirely new modes. So what I take away from this is the fact that planetary engagements will be like the main mode of the multiplayer, but that it then moves on to you will also cooperate against AI foes in skirmishes that span the cinematic eras and engage enemies in entirely new modes. So this to me sounds very similar to, well, skirmish, because they even say beat AI foes in skirmishes. Although I wouldn't say this is a confirmation of skirmish, but I think this refers to the offline mode that we do know there will be. There will be some sort of offline single player or co-op mode that is separate from the campaign and separate from the multiplayer. And I don't think those AI foes actually refer to multiplayer. The only AI we know about in multiplayer is for flying. And while we're talking about flying, I guess I could say this in the video, because I only said it during my stream yesterday, which is the fact that there will be 64 spaceship battles in space. And to be clear, it's 24 players and 40 AI. So it's a little bit like Fighter Squadron, but a lot bigger, simply, and massive space battles. We talked about that space station that I mentioned in an earlier video and so on. So I think the space battles in this game will be really massive and feel like proper space battles. And I can, to be honest, understand that they did decide to put AI in the game, because it does fill out the actual match a lot more, and it allows them to kind of steer where people will be, because if we had 64 players, it would probably not look like in the movies. It would be people flying around, crashing, or flying off to the completely opposite side of the objective. So I think filling out with AI is pretty good, considering that 24 players is still plenty. But this is going to be a lot easier to talk about when we actually have some gameplay to look at. Moving on, we have something very interesting that Immortal Soldier spotted during my live stream yesterday, and he also sent me this image, which is the fact that in this concept art that I talked about, how the First Order Stormtroopers actually ambush the Resistance fighters, we can actually see that the helmets do actually not look like real First Order helmets. I didn't notice this myself, but when he sent me this image, it's pretty clear. The backside of the helmet, as well as the kind of front ventilation thing or breathing thing or whatever it is, looks completely different. It looks like the original Stormtroopers. And that makes me think that maybe this is a brand new type of Stormtrooper helmet that they just revealed through this concept art. This could be how they looked in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, because obviously there might be some iterations of the helmets, And this could be some sort of post-Return of the Jedi trooper that we haven't seen yet. It could also be that whoever made this concept art got them mixed up, although I doubt that Lucasfilm would approve that if it wasn't actually intended. So I think this is a very interesting topic, and those of you who are more into the actual details of armor might know more about why it looks like this. Moving on, some of you found some new stuff on the Hoth concept art during my live stream yesterday. First of all, we can actually see a rebel throwing what looks like a proximity bomb from a Wampa to the feet of the AT-AT. I don't think it's a proximity bomb, but it's probably some other explosive device that would actually hurt the AT-AT. And if that's the case, I think that's gonna be a lot of fun, because although Walker Assault, as it is right now, is a very fun game mode, you feel very handicapped when you're down at the AT-AT's feet. So if they add some sort of equipment that makes you actually be able to damage the walkers pretty severely, I think that would be a very nice mechanic, because it adds another level of depth in the Walker Assault game mode. It means that either you can engage on long range, or you can take the risk and actually get a bomb straight on the feet of the AT-AT. I don't think it should like just insta-kill it, that would be way too overpowered, but it could do a lot more damage than if you shot with a turret on it. And that's something I'm hoping that this concept art shows. And another thing is, if you look in the far background, you can actually see a couple of Wampas, which I think is pretty cool to see. And although I wouldn't say this confirms that they will be in the game, we do have a Wampa Easter egg in the current game. So I mean, it could be something like that, and not everything in every piece of concept art always makes it into a game, but they have said that they want to add more alive creatures. We have seen a Ronto in the actual trailer, so they are showing that they are willing to add more stuff to the gameplay area, and hopefully Wampas are one of them. And lastly, we have a thing that I completely missed in my analysis of this Jakku image. This is actually a Resistance transport ship, Leia's ship from The Force Awakens. And I think that is really cool, because as far as I know, we've only seen that in The Force Awakens when she lands. And maybe it will play a part of the map or the game mode. It could just be that it's parked there, or maybe it's broken. But if you look carefully, you can see these two kind of wing fins, or whatever you call them, that are identical to how the ship looks. And you can also see the gun thing sticking out a little bit to the side. So I'm very convinced that this is Leia's Resistance transport ship on this map, which is then another vehicle confirmed to be in the game. Whether it's playable or whether it's just the background on the map is hard to say, but considering that the actual TIE fighter is shooting at it, I could hope that it will be part of the gameplay somehow. But that brings this video to an end. If you found any more details you think I should bring up, feel free to tweet them at me, send an email, or just leave a comment below. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe for more Star Wars Battlefront 2 coverage. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.